Shukran sana Mheshimiwa. Welcome to the pre-session interview. And the National Assembly has just come from around 3 weeks recess. What are some of the priority businesses that you are going to handle?
Asante sana Mariko kwa mwaliko wako. And as you said, we've come back from a 3 weeks very short recess, but a working recess. Basically, which gives members of parliament in committees time to look at the budget estimates. And this time they were rather busy because we were looking at both the supplementary estimates, supplementary 3, and the budget estimates for the next financial year, that's 2025-2026. And from that tells you that the first or priority business will be budget-related bills from the supplementary consideration of the reports of the Committee of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on both the supplementary estimates 3 and the budget estimates for the next financial year. Then you consider the supplementary estimates appropriation bill for supplementary 3 and also the appropriation bill for the next financial year 25-26. We also have the finance bill 2025, which is before the House and under consideration by the committee that has been working on it, the Committee of National Planning and Finance. And we also consider all the stages of the finance bill 2025. Then there's a division of revenue bill, which we must also consider and agree or disagree with the Senate. I anticipate that we may need to go into mediation because of figures that, from what I hear, Senate is proposing and what was agreed on in the National Assembly. Therefore, once we agree on the division of revenue, then we'll be able to go on and complete the budget-making process. There is also the county allocation of revenue bill. All these are budget-related bills, including the equalization appropriation bill for 2025. We also have consideration of nominees. You know, there's a National Police Service Commission nominees whose names were sent to Parliament when we were on recess. That will come up. There's a IBC commissioners consideration of those names. And there also are tribunal on the Public Benefits Organization, Disputes Tribunal, which the Chief Justice has also sent to Parliament for consideration. It's among the nominees that we'll be considering. I think other than that, and the reservations, of course, you remember the reservations that the President sent on the Conflict of Interest Bill and the Anti-Money Laundering and Combating of Terrorism Financing Amendment laws that the President sent back to the House. That is also lined as part of our priority business because we will need to consider those reservations by the President and pass a vote in one way or the other. There are bills that we carried on to the session just before the recess, the value-added the VAT amendment bill of 2025, which was a small amendment from something of the last finance bill, the culture bill, National Council for Population and Development bill. And of course, there are also new bills that have come that we published over the recess, like the Virtual Assets Bill, the Kenya Roads Amendment Bill, which we just published before we went on recess and has been considered by the Committee on Roads and Transport. And there are the NADCO bills that were in Senate that have now been transmitted to us. That's just a tip of the iceberg of the very busy session that we have for about 5 weeks till we break for the next recess.
Okay, so on IBC nominees, some of them are facing court cases. Some people went to court and said some of them are not qualified. So does that mean it's going to delay that?
You know, ideally, the names were sent to Parliament by His Excellency the President, and Parliament, when the Speaker receives names, he sends them to a committee, the committee that will consider those nominees. And the committee has been going on with their work because you cannot stop people from going to court. But at the same time, you cannot stop a parliamentary process in between. And I think over the years, even the courts have agreed with us, and there is immense precedence that courts do not injunct Parliament from doing its work until the end of that process. And therefore, we are here to conclude that process. The names are still before the committee. The committee is considering, and we'll get to know from the chair of the committee whether the committee has been able to finalize with that process.
Okay, so the ruling of the court will be inconsequential? Or?
I am not saying it's inconsequential. I am saying courts do not injunct Parliament midstream.
Okay.
And therefore, irrespective of what went on in court, and I'm not even sure what was said in court, The committee had the names sent to them, and at least I do remember about two or so weeks ago, about 10 days ago, the committee did advertise for public participation, and I know members of the public have been also submitting memoranda in view of the ongoing process. Therefore, it's an ongoing process.
Okay. On Finance Bill 2025, the government, there are measures intended to finance the government's 4.34 trillion the budget. And you say there are adjustments to value-added tax. Are they going to be adjusted upwards, the VAT?
No, there are two different things. The value-added tax amendment bill of 2025 is separate from the finance bill of 2025.
Okay.
The VAT amendment bill is a small one-clause amendment correcting something that was done in last year's tax laws that stopped KRA from, or rather stopped people who are benefiting from certain exemptions, especially for capital projects, from continuing to enjoy the tax exemption beyond, I think, 31st of December 2024. And therefore, this VAT amendment bill is just giving that exemption a further period of 1 year to December this year, because these are people who had investments in the country, and these huge capital investments. And I've seen many of them, people who are in the manufacturing sector, and huge infrastructure projects that are ordinarily given tax incentives because we are bringing in investments that are creating employment for Kenyans, and therefore inadvertently the tax amendment laws of 2024 that were passed in December last year restricted that period up to the end of the year last year. So is just to extend that. The Finance Bill 2025, again, as I said, is under consideration by the Committee of Finance. I think they have also been doing public participation, and I expect maybe in the next week or so they should be able to be through and bring it to the House for consideration.
Okay, so Finance Bill 2025, is it going to have some more taxes? Or?
No, I think if you listen to the CS National Treasury, they said it is almost a tax-free finance bill. And, you know, I know there was a lot of propaganda before even the bill was published, even before the National Treasury finalized the process. And you remember the Honorable Leader of Minority raised it on the floor of the House because people had already started a campaign of disinformation and misinformation. Unfortunately, and I remember saying on the floor of the House, that is what happened, the fate that befell the 2024 bill. A lot of negative vibe and misinformation and disinformation was sold out there. Therefore, it was important that when the Leader of Minority raised that issue, we spoke out to it. And I saw even those who are very busy on TikTok and other social media platforms misinforming and disinforming Kenyans stepped back. I want to appeal to them. This, all bills before Parliament are public documents. You can simply click onto the National Assembly or Parliament's website. You'll be able to see all the bills before the House. Take your time, read. If you don't read, consult people who can help you to read and understand what is there, so that we end the culture of misinformation and disinformation.
Okay. There is also another bill by member for Aldai, Mary Kaitany, the Communication Information Amendment Bill, that is raising some controversy. Some people are saying that it violates the Data Protection Act. Mm-hmm. How do you respond to those critics?
First, you must understand that members of Parliament in their individual capacity as members of Parliament are at liberty, either on their own motion or on behalf of other interested parties out there, including their constituents, to propose privately sponsored bills. And the bill by the member for Aldai, Honorable Mary Kaitany, is such a private member's bill. It's not a government bill, so I have really not paid keen attention to it being a private member's bill. But public discourse and engagement is part of legislation making, and that is why the Constitution and Article 108 provides for public participation. And Article, I think, 118 provides for public participation, for the public to engage. And therefore, all, again, I would urge is people to read Listen to the honorable member. I saw her in one of the stations last night trying to explain what she intends to achieve with the bill. And it's only when you listen and understand the import of anything that you get to know really what it is about. There will be an opportunity, because she's just made a proposal, a legislative proposal. It's not a bill that's already before the House. So when it is before the House, it will be read the first time, it will go for public participation, and everybody, every Kenyan has the right to make their proposals. And following public participation, because again, that is what I saw Kenyans never understood last year. You remember with the Finance Bill 2024, all the issues that Kenyans had raised that they were not very happy with had been removed from the bill of the Finance Bill 2024.
So it's about Kenyans are not reading it properly.
They did not understand the parliamentary processes. Because Kenyans, when the committee returned verdict on the bill, and they said, for instance, tax on bread. We have agreed with the sentiments of the public during public participation that we do not need to tax our bread. We have agreed with the public that we do not need to impose a motor vehicle circulation tax, which, by the way, was even sitting in the wrong act of parliament. It was under the Income Tax Act, and a motor vehicle, owning a motor vehicle is not an income. Therefore, naturally, that particular provision was dead on arrival in parliament. And therefore, the committee agreed with everybody who appeared before them, speaking about motor vehicle circulation tax, speaking about tax on bread, and all those things were removed from the bill. When we remove them, how do you remove certain provisions of a bill from that bill before it becomes a law or an act of parliament? Is by amending. And you remember, those on social media started a new campaign. Do not amend, reject. I mean, if you are not amending, then what legislation are you making? The process of legislation is about amendments. In actual fact, there is no law you create from the blues. Because, for instance, you've just spoken about that one by the member for Aldai. She is most likely amending the Kika Act, because there is already an act of parliament that exists. And therefore, what she'll be doing is looking at that act and proposing amendments. If there are certain provisions of that bill that you do not agree with, give your views during public participation. It is not the member who is proposing the bill who will decide what goes into the bill. It is a committee that will be listening to the members of the public, and they return that to the House with a report that you can read and see whether your sentiments were carried through. So last year, all Kenyans needed to do was to look at the Finance Committee's report and learn that every other proposal they had made during public participation was factored in the final report. And it is part of the amendments that were being proposed on the 25th of June, which they said reject. And I have said it before, Mark, that the bill as it were on June 25th, 2024, we passed it in December. Nobody got hurt, as they were saying. Nobody died, as we had seen before. Because the campaign of disinformation had dissipated, we passed the bill as it were in 4 different bills, achieving the same objective without losses to the country. More importantly, Mark, is that Kenyans had been misinformed. Oh, when this bill passes, you will not be able to afford diapers and sanitary towels. Kenyans are still buying diapers and sanitary towels. Because we tried telling Kenyans, we are protecting you young people who need jobs. Because the manufacturers of these diapers and sanitary towels are here in Kenya. We do not need to import diapers and sanitary towels from China, India, UK, the Americas. We are growing their industries when we are killing our own industries. But nobody was listening because of a campaign of misinformation and disinformation. They told us, oh, your cows will be taxed, your goats, your chicken, everything, your land will be taxed. Now, I dare ask Kenyans today, whose goat has been taxed? Whose chicken has been taxed? Or whose land has been taxed? And we passed the laws as they were. Therefore, it tells you the fallacy of the social media misinformation and disinformation. But unfortunately, because there are those who make a living out of that campaign of disinformation in the civil society and elsewhere, and those who are very active on those social media platforms, they are within their rights, but they should desist from misinforming Kenyans.
So I think members of parliament also need maybe to do more in sensitization.
And I think we took that challenge, and that's why you saw when we passed those tax laws in December, we started the process by the National Treasury first going out to the public and asking the public, submit your proposals. Fortunately, what people brought to the National Treasury as proposals is exactly what we had rejected in June. Manufacturers came and said, you need to protect our industries. You need to tax the finished goods that are coming from far Asian countries and Europe so that you protect our local industries, so that we are able to grow our manufacturing, create more jobs locally for our young people. Unfortunately, it's the same young people who are being misused by the disinformers and misinformers. Thank you very much,
Mheshimiwa. You can now make your final remarks because we are going to end the interview, the discussion.
Yes, we're about to begin the House also. Mine is just, as I said, to appeal to Kenyans to pay attention to what goes on in Parliament. Members of Parliament work as the people's representatives. We do what we do on behalf of the people. And there is no time that we will pass legislation that is detrimental to the well-being of our people. We always have to weigh between what is good for our people and what we need to do to get our country to grow. Trust us as your leaders that we will do what is right, and pay attention to what we do. Take your time and read and understand. What you don't understand, seek the clerk's office. The table office here is open to members of public. You can simply just walk in, seek information, and you get that information. Or simply go to the website, send whatever questions you have to us, and we will be able to respond to you.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa. That has been the member of Parliament for Kikuyu, who is also the National Assembly Majority Leader, Kimani Ichung'wah, talking to PBU and briefing us on the priority business as the National Assembly resumes from around 3 weeks recess. My name is Tilio Marco, and we are now going to continue with the live broadcast of the National Assembly that is resuming today after 3 weeks recess. Na msikilizaji, tunaendelea kupata matangazo ya moja kwa moja kutoka Bunge la Taifa. Na
sasa unupuzi gani?
I've only been married for a few years and already akona mtoto nje.
Sijui unataka niseme nini.
It is called owning up to your mistake. And honestly, mbona tukuamka tuende?
In fact, pigia huyo mama Kim, mwambie utaki kazi, nitatafuta msichana mwingine. Nafikiri hizo nyumba zingine hazina shida zao.
Take some time. Kwa sababu pende usipende, we need to talk.
Unaishi wapi?
Bangladesh, mheshimiwa.
Bangladesh ni India mani?
Sio India, hapa hivi Longai, mheshimiwa. KWS.
Ndio.
Umeshawahi kuliwa?
Na nani? Kuliwa na nani? Kuliwa na nani?
Na fisi.
Na nini?
Na fisi.
Bado sijakuliwa na fisi.
Bado. First of all, you have said you are a terrorist.
Hapana, iko terrorist, mimi iko terrorist.
Mheshimiwa Maki hiyo
amesema
mjue hapa mko kwa hatari saa hii.
Sikiza. Amesema yeye ni tourist.
How do you run when the hyena is just there? How can you run?
Si uongee lugha ile utaelewa. Sasa hii kizungu unangangana na
tunaelewana Kisungu.
Hakuna kitu tunaelewana.
Kwa nini wakati fisi nimeua fisi ndio mnakuja kunishika? Why?
Hao ni wadudu ambao wanapatikana kwa uchafu. Fisi ni mnyama ambaye analindwa na sheria.
So mimi ni mchafu. You want me to say mimi ni mchafu? Baby face kama mimi ni mchafu.
Angalia nywele yako
na nywele
kwa pasi.
Hiyo sura yako imekunjana ni baby face.
have been having the leader of the majority party, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, in our radio studios and equally on KBC Channel 1, technically breaking it down to our viewers on the priority business for the House. Remember, the National Assembly has been on recess for a month, and this afternoon the members will be resuming the normal business. But that notwithstanding, we have priority business for the House, and the leader of the majority has highlighted some of the bills and business that the House will be giving priority. Among them is a division of revenue bill, the finance bill, currently being considered by the Finance Committee of the National Assembly, and the conflict of interest bill. The conflict of interest bill is a bill that was returned back to the National Assembly with some reservations from the President. And away from that, the division of revenue bill that guides monies allocated to counties is a bill that will be considered by the House, the Senate, as well as the National Assembly. We have both houses are presenting a different figure of the monies to be given to counties. And we will be expecting a mediation committee to sit, the mediation committee comprising of members from the Senate and members from the National Assembly, who will have to agree on a figure. He has spoken on matters misinformation and disinformation on bills before the House, highlighting the Finance Bill 2025, calling for caution and that Kenyans ought to read and understand before they break down the information online, especially. Allow me to hand over for this live broadcast as the Speaker of the House, Honorable Dr. Moses Wetangula, is already in the chambers this afternoon. Enjoy your viewing.
Waheshimiwa, tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, ambaye kwa hekima na wema wako umetuonya nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala wa haki wa wanadamu. Tunakusihi utazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao wameridhika kutuita tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Tunakuomba uteremshie baraka zako sisi tulikutanika hapa, na utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako siendelezwe, na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Can we have the quorum bell ringing? Sergeant? Owen?
The business of the National Assembly has just commenced, with the Speaker directing the quorum bell be rung so that members of the National Assembly within the presence of Parliament do make their way into the chamber this afternoon. At a time when the House is resuming business, we have the Sergeant at Arms busy calculating the number of members of Parliament in the chambers to get to see that the House raises quorum. But in the interview just concluded a few minutes ago, the leader of the majority party heavily spoke about misinformation on the Finance Bill 2025, calling upon Kenyans to read and understand the bill, and that the information is readily available about the House businesses on the Parliament website. But this Finance Bill 2025 is a bill that has...
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Chepkonga, take your seat, or the nearest seat. Honorable Hassan, take your seat. Thank you. Honorable members, I wish to welcome you back to the House from the just concluded long recess. I believe that you are geared up to embark on legislative business as the House commences the second part of the fourth session, which is characterized by the consideration of the budget and related business, therefore christened the budget session. Having said that, I am aware that the recess period was a working recess, given the enormous amount of time that you employed towards public hearings on the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2025, and the consideration of the budget estimates for the financial year 2025-26. Honorable members, as we commence the second part of this session, the House will prioritize budget-related business, appreciating the strict statutory timelines therein. Specifically, the House will soon be considering the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the estimates of financial year 2025-2026. This will in turn pave way for the consideration of the estimates in the Committee of Supply and the attendant legislations, including the Appropriation Bill 2025 and the Finance Bill 2025. The House is further expected to consider the Senate amendments to the Division of Revenue Bill 2025, if any, and the count allocation of revenue bill upon receipt of the bills from the Senate. In addition, honorable members, the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Economic Planning is scheduled to make a public pronouncement of the budget policy highlights and revenue-raising measures for the national government for the financial year 2025-26 on 12th June 2025 in line with Section 40 of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 412A. We have been notified that this date has been agreed to by the member states of the East African Community in line with the established practice of synchronizing the budget speech day. Honorable members, the timely consideration of the critical House business I have highlighted calls for your utmost dedication, and I urge each member to rise to the occasion so that together we deliver on the legislative mandate of this House in line with the Constitution. Additionally, honorable members, further to my earlier communication regarding the hosting of the 22nd National Prayer Breakfast, which was scheduled to be held on Thursday, 29th May 2025. This is to inform you that due to unavoidable circumstances, the event will now be held tomorrow, Wednesday, 28th May 2025, at the Safari Park Hotel, Nairobi, at 7 a.m. Consequently, the Women's Convocation and the National Conversation were also rescheduled to today and are ongoing. Today, the Tuesday, 27th May 2025, at the same venue. I'm aware that the arrangements for the successful hosting of the prayer breakfast tomorrow are at an advanced stage, if not ready, and I take this opportunity to once again invite all of you, honorable members, to come together to pray for our nation and to pray for yourselves. Honorable members, as you are aware, the first part of the fourth session ended on a sad note for the National Assembly and indeed the country, following the tragic shooting of the member for Kasipul, the Honorable Charles Ongondo Were MP, on Wednesday, 30th April 2025. The late member succumbed to injuries that he sustained after being shot at close range by a gunman on a motorcycle along Ngong Road in Nairobi. Following the shooting of the late Honorable Were, honorable members, I did notify the House and indeed the general public via notification number 5 of 2025, issued on 30th April 2025. Further, I appointed an ad hoc funeral committee chaired by the Honorable Peter Opondo Kaluma CBS MP. The committee ably coordinated Parliament support to the family in the funeral arrangements that culminated in the befitting send-off that was accorded to the late Honorable Were at his rural home in Karabok, Homa Bay County, on Friday, 9th May 2025. On my own behalf and that of the House and the Parliamentary Service Commission, I extend our sincere gratitude to all members of Parliament and the parliamentary fraternity for supporting the family of the late Honorable Were in their moment of grief. Honorable members, as indicated in my notification, the National Assembly, Kasipul constituents, and indeed the nation lost a dependable and astute legislator who served his constituents and the nation with uttermost dedication. Although the late Honorable Ongondo Were has already been laid to rest, we continue to convey our heartfelt condolences to his family, the people of Kasipul constituency, and all his relatives and friends for the loss of a gallant leader. May I urge the security agencies to ensure that the perpetrators of the heinous killing of the late Honorable Ongondo Were are brought to book and his family receives justice for the loss of their loved one. And for the members who accompanied yours truly to the funeral, I thank you very much for being there for your colleague. Honorable members, in honor of our departed colleague, the Honorable Charles Ongondo Were, I request that we all be upstanding and observe a moment of silence. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Members at the bar, take the nearest seats. Take the nearest seats. Honorable members, I also wish to convey to the House that I'm sure you saw in the media yesterday that your colleague, member for Juja, the Honorable Koimburi, was reported by his family to be missing on Sunday. And yesterday there were news bulletins that he was found in some coffee plantation. Luckily, he was alive. And he was recovered and taken to one of the leading hospitals in Nairobi, where he is admitted and recuperating. I have this morning instructed the chair of the committee on security, the Honorable Tongoyo, to liaise with the IG and other security agencies, including the Minister for Security, so that they can be able to get at least some preliminary facts that can be brought to the House. I have been advised by the hospital where he is admitted that the family had given strict instructions not to allow visitors, although in the media we saw some visitors around the member, but we've been told that they are not allowing visitors, including people from officers from DCI who wanted to visit to find out what may have happened. I'm told they were turned away. Be that as it may, I have directed the chairman of the Security Committee and the member for Turkana, is it North, Honorable Epuyo Nanok, Turkana West, who is the chair of a committee that the Honorable Koimburi also serves, to, in the course of this afternoon, visit the honorable member in hospital. I hope you'll be allowed to see him, so that tomorrow I give Honorable Tongoyo an opportunity to update the House on the situation of our member. I want to encourage the security agencies, as they carry out thorough investigations in the fatal shooting of Honorable Ngondo Were, to also investigate the circumstances leading to the disappearance and reappearance of the Honorable Koimburi on the dates that I have mentioned, so that we get to know. In the meantime, I encourage all of you members, and indeed all Kenyans, to be conscious of your security and the surroundings and the people you associate with, wherever you are, so that you don't have your security at any one time compromised, leading to unfortunate incidents like the loss of life of Honorable Were and the disappearance and reappearance of Honorable Koimburi. I thank you. Honorable Tongoyev, you want to comment on this? Yes, no, I've directed you go and visit him and bring the report tomorrow. Have you visited him? You will go with Nanok to visit him and bring us an update tomorrow. What you want to give us may be hearsay. I want you to get the facts right. Thank you, honorable members. Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Members at the bar, take the nearest seats. Honorable Bashir, take your seat. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, I have a few short messages. The first is a message from His Excellency the President. Honorable members, this is a message on notification of persons, on nomination of persons to the positions of chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Honorable members, Standing Order 42.2 relating to messages from the President provide that if a message is received from the President at a time when the House is not in session, the Speaker shall forthwith cause the message to be transmitted to every member and shall report the message to the House on the day the House next sits. In this regard, honorable members, I wish to report to the House that during the recess period, I received a message from His Excellency the President relating to the nomination of persons for appointment to the positions of chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. In the message, His Excellency the President conveyed that in accordance with the procedure set out in Section 5 and the first schedule of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Cap 7C, and Section 3 and 5 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, he had nominated Dr. Erastus Edung Ethekon from Turkana County as the chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, and the following other persons as members of the Commission. Ms. Ann Njeri Nderitu from Nyandarua County, Mr. Moses Alutalala Muhwana from Kakamega County, Ms. Mary Karen Sorbit from Uasin Gishu County, Mr. Hassan Nur Hassan from Mandera County, Mr. Francis Odhiambo Adwol from Kisumu County, and Ms. Fahima Arafat Abdallah from Lamu County. Honorable members, you will recall that on Friday, 9th May 2025, I issued a notification number 007 of 2025 in which I conveyed that I had received a message from His Excellency the President and pursuant to Standing Order 42.3c, referred the said message together with the Certificate of Presidential Nomination and the CVs of the nominees to the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs. The committee was to undertake the necessary approval hearings pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 45 and the resolution of the House of 13th February 2025. I also directed the clerk to transmit the notification to all members of the National Assembly. And in this regard, honorable members, we shall wait for the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs to notify the House as soon as it concludes the approval hearings. The House is accordingly guided. Members at the bar, take the nearest seats. Member for Turkana, the nearest seat excludes sprinting across the floor. Member for Vihiga, what is your idea of the nearest seat? Yes, Honorable Otienda Mola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in consideration of your communication, and it may not be in my place because my chairman is here, but I do not want to lose the moment. In respect of that, having forwarded the nominees to the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. Mr. Speaker, I was hoping that you'd give a further direction in view of events that have since occurred. Mr. Speaker, Chairman Murugara let us know, and we were notified of a court case that was subsequently filed and a stay that was issued, and that the matter is coming up again on 29th. And that, I believe, has put the committee in limbo and has not therefore undertaken what it ought to have undertaken. And yet, the wording of Section 8 of the Act you've just referred to appears mandatory within 14 days. And I think, Mr. Speaker, therefore, you may have to give further guidance to us and the House. One, as to whether, in view of the wording of that decision, the entire process is suspended until determined, or two, in any event, whether time then stops running from the time that order was issued so that the 14 days are extended, or three, whether, depending on the decision that is made on Thursday the 29th, within the time limited, that process can still be undertaken. I'm hoping, Mr. Speaker, you'll give the House further guidance. Thank you.
And four, if I can help you, whether a parliamentary process can be injuncted.
Indeed, that I had canvassed that within the first one by saying whether in view of the nature of the orders given, the process can continue or be suspended. And I think that's the most fundamental one.
Absolutely, Senior Counsel. My mind is very clear. I'll give you direction tomorrow. And both yourself and the Honorable Murugara, and indeed your committee, may wish tomorrow after prayer breakfast, come to my chamber so that we can have some jurisprudential tete-a-tete. The second message, honorable members. Honorable Bashir, you look very mobile today. Can you take your seat? Thank you. Honorable members, the second message is also from His Excellency the President on nomination of persons for appointment as members of the National Police Service Commission. Honorable members, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 42, I wish to convey a message from His Excellency the President regarding the nomination of persons for appointment as members of the National Police Service Commission. In the message, honorable members, His Excellency the President conveys that in exercise of powers conferred on him by Article 246(2) and 252 of the Constitution and Section 6(5) of the National Police Service Commission Act, Cap 85, he has nominated the following persons for appointment as members of the National Police Service Commission and now seeks approval for appointment by this House. Ms. Paris Mudhoni Kimani, nominated pursuant to Article 246(2)(2) of the Constitution, being a retired senior officer of the Kenya Police Service. Mr. Benjamin Juma Imai, nominated pursuant to Article 246(2)(2) of the Constitution, being a retired senior officer of the Administration Police Service, APs. Professor Coletta A. Suda, PhD, nominated pursuant to Article 246(2)(3 of the Constitution, being a person of integrity who has served the public with distinction. Honorable members, Standing Order 45 provides that upon receipt of notification of a nomination for appointment, such nomination shall stand committed to the relevant departmental committee for consideration. In this regard, I hereby refer the message from His Excellency the President, together with the curriculum vitae, the report of the selection panel, and other testimonials of the nominees to the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security for consideration. Honorable members, Section 6(6) of the National Police Service Act, Cap 85, provides that the relevant committee of the National Assembly shall consider the nominees and table a report in the House within 21 days. In this regard, the committee is expected to immediately commence the approval process and notify the nominees and the general public of the time and place for holding the approval hearings. Thereafter, upon conclusion of the hearings, the committee should table its report on or before Wednesday, 11th June 2025, to enable the House to consider the matter within the statutory timelines. Honorable members, the next message is a message from the Senate on approval of nominees for appointment to the board of the Central Bank. Pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 41(4), relating to messages from the Senate, I wish to report to the House that I have received a message from the Senate dated 7th May 2025 regarding the approval of nominees for appointment to the board of Central Bank of Kenya. The message conveys that by a resolution made on 7th May 2025, the Senate approved the appointment of the following persons as members of the board of Central Bank of Kenya: FCPA Sophie Moturi, CPA Abdullahi Mohamed Abdi, Ms. Beatrice Kosgei, and Mr. David Simpson Osawa Owor. Honorable members, you recall that the approval process for the nominees to the position of members of the Board of Central Bank of Kenya was jointly conducted by the respective committees of the Houses of Parliament. You will further recall that on 30th April 2025, the National Assembly approved the appointment of the nominees, and in this regard, the approval by the Senate now concludes the bicameral approval of the appointments, and the appointing authority has since been notified, and the House is accordingly guided. The last message, honorable members, is a message from the judiciary. Members at the bar, take the nearest seats. Musa Sirma, take the nearest seat. Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, the message from the judiciary is on the nomination of persons for appointment as the chairperson and members of the Public Benefit Organizations Disputes Tribunal. Honorable members, I wish to report to the House that I have received a message from the Honorable Chief Justice and the President of the Supreme Court of Kenya regarding the nomination of persons for appointment as chairperson and members of the Public Benefit Organizations Disputes Tribunal. In the message, the Honorable Chief Justice conveys that in accordance with the provision of Section 50 of the Public Benefits Organization Act 2013, she has appointed the following persons as chairperson and members of the Public Benefits Organizations Disputes Tribunal and now seeks the approval of the National Assembly. Ms. Eunice Adoyo Otieno Arwa, chairperson. Ms. Christabel Mideva Eboso, member. Ms. Elizabeth Mbithe Mulwa, member. Dr. Leonard Kinyulus, member. And Mr. Mohammed Sheikh Noor, member. For clarity, honorable members, Section 50 of the Public Benefits Organization Act 2013 provides, and I quote, "There is hereby established a tribunal to be known as the Public Benefits Organizations Disputes Tribunal, which shall consist of members appointed by the Chief Justice and approved by the National Assembly as follows: a chairperson who shall be an advocate of the High Court of Kenya of not less than 7 years standing, 2 advocates of the High Court of not less than 5 years standing, 2 persons having such specialized skills or knowledge necessary for the discharge of the functions of the tribunal." Honorable members, Standing Order 45.1 provides that upon receipt of a notification of nomination for appointment to a state office or such other office, the nomination shall stand committed to the relevant departmental committee of the House for consideration. In this regard, I hereby refer the names together with the CVs and other testimonials of the nominees to the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs to undertake the necessary approval hearings. Honorable members, whereas the Public Benefits Organizations Act 2013 does not expressly provide for the timeline within which the House considers the respective nominees, Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act Cap 7F requires the committee to which nominations are referred shall consider the matter and table a report in the House for debate and decision within 28 days. In this regard, therefore, the committee is directed to expeditiously commence the approval process and notify the nominees and the general public of the time and place for holding the approval hearings. The committee should table its report by Wednesday, 18th June 2025 to enable the House to consider the matter within the statutory timelines. I thank you. Next.
Order number 5, order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. A. Legal notice number 195 of 2024 relating to the Public Finance Management Public Officers Medical Scheme Fund, Regulations 2024 and the explanatory memorandum from the National Treasury and Economic Planning. B. Legal notice number 38 of 2025 relating to the Central Depositories, Regulations of Central Depositories Amendment Rules 2025, evidence of stakeholders' engagement and the explanatory memorandum from the National Treasury and Economic Planning. C. Legal notice number 88 of 2025 relating to the Code of Conduct for Media Practice 2025 from the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy. D. The agreement between the Government of the Republic of Singapore and the Government of the Republic of Kenya for the elimination of double taxation with respect to taxes on income and prevention of tax evasion and avoidance between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the Government of the Republic of Singapore from the National Treasury and Economic Planning. E. Submission of nominees for the National Government Constituencies Development Fund for the following constituencies, Honorable Speaker: Banisa, Bomachoge, Butere, Buri, Embakasi Central, Galole, Ganze, Garissa, Ijara, Jomvu, Juja, Kabuchai, Keiti, Kamukunji, Kilifi, Kilome, Kimilili, Kuria East, Lagdera, Loima, Lugari, Matayos, Matungu, Moyale, Msambweni, Muhoroni, Mvita, Nyali, Nyando, Nyaribari Masaba, Nyatike, Rabai, Rangwe, Samburu East, Sotik, Suna West, Taveta, Teso North,
From the bliss of new beginnings to the trials of commitment, this is a celebration of resilience, passion, and the power of togetherness. Join us as we unravel real-life stories, because every journey deserves to be cherished, for better, for worse, on KBC Channel 1.
Sasa huu ni upuzi gani?
I've only been married for a few years and already akona mtoto nje.
Sijui unataka niseme nini. It is called owning up to your mistake. And honestly, mbona tukuamka tuende?
In fact, pigia huyo mama.
take your seats, honorable members. I'll direct that this matter be disposed of in the shortest time possible, and I'll allocate 1.5 hours to the motion starting 4 p.m. this afternoon. In the event we get to 4 p.m. and we are still having business like statements, they will be stepped down. You got the motion, and then thereafter we can proceed with what is left of the other businesses. Thank you. Honorable members, allow me to acknowledge in the Speaker's Gallery a recognition of staff from the Parliament of Ghana. I wish to introduce to you 2 staff members from the Parliament of Ghana who are seated in the Speaker's Gallery. The officers are on a week-long benchmarking visit to Parliament, collaborating with our Directorate of Legal Services to enhance the capacity of the legal officers in areas relating to comparative legal frameworks, governance and law reform processes, technology and innovation in legal service delivery, committee support systems with legal frameworks, and judicial processes and practices. Honorable members, on my behalf and on behalf of the House, I welcome the members of staff from the Parliament of Ghana, and as they say in Ghana, Agwaba. Agwaba members means Karibu. Take your seats, members. Honorable members, also in the Speaker's Gallery, I acknowledge St. Teresa's Bikeke High School from Kiminini, Trans Nzoia. In the public gallery, the students, when your school is mentioned, you stand up for acknowledgement, then you take your seats. Very good, you can now take your seats. In the public gallery, we have Tengecha Boys High School from Bureti, Kericho, Ndururumo High School from Laikipia West, Laikipia, and Siungi Secondary School from Mwingi Central, Kitui. I've been requested by the Honorable Member for Mwingi Central to welcome the school from his constituency, and in the same vein, Honorable Mulyungi, you can welcome all the other students on behalf of your colleagues. 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to welcome all the schools which are here to Parliament, and in particular my school, Siungi Secondary School, which I work with. Mr. Speaker, I want to encourage all the students who are here to work very hard so that one day they can aspire to be members of Parliament and senior public officers. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Member for Kilifi, Gertrude Mbeyu. Honorable Member for Kilifi, she's where? Is Gertrude Mbeyu in the house? I don't think she is. Statement dropped. Honorable Amina Muyanzi, member for Malindi. Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of the Standing Order 42C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health regarding the impact of the recent withdrawal of U.S. aid funding on healthcare financing in the country. Honorable Speaker, on January 20th, 2025, U.S. President Donald J. Trump issued an executive order titled Reevaluating and Realigning United States Foreign Aid. The order imposed a 90-day pause on all U.S. foreign development assistance programs to allow for comprehensive review. This decision has disrupted billions of dollars earmarked for health, education, and development worldwide, with no exemptions for essential health programs such as the Presidential's Emergency Plan for AIDS relief. Honorable Speaker, access to healthcare service is not only a right guaranteed under the Article 43 of the Constitution, but also a vital driver of economic growth, public health, and environmental sustainability. USAID has historically been a major contributor to Kenya's health sector, funding programs in HIV/AIDS treatment, malaria prevention, and maternal health care. Notably, over 25% of the country's annual HIV-related health budget relies on U.S. government funding, and direct U.S. support accounts for 29% of the HIV medicines available in the country. Unfortunately, all USAID health programs in the country are scheduled to end by September 2025. The resulting funding gap threatens to disrupt life-saving treatments and services, directly impacting thousands of patients across the country. It is projected that 54,000 healthcare workers could lose their jobs, while institutions such as the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority face deficits amounting to Kenya shilling 600 million, hampering the availability of critical medical supplies essential for both prevention and ongoing patient support. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health on the following. 1. Report on the measures being undertaken by the government to address the impact of the recent withdrawal of USAID funding in Kenya, which has previously supported critical health sectors such as HIV/AIDS treatment, malaria prevention, and maternal care. 2. Current status of essential drug supplies for all the critical sectors supported by USAID, including whether there are sufficient stocks available, and indicate how long these supplies are expected to last given the current national demand. And 3, the immediate and long-term action plans by the government to mitigate the negative effects arising from the USAID funding withdrawal, including ensuring uninterrupted healthcare services for the affected populations. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chair Health, how much time do you need to bring a response?
Under 2 weeks, we'll get a response.
Under 2 weeks?
Yes.
So you can do next week?
I can do next week.
Okay, Thursday next week. Amos Mwago. Amos Mwago, member for Starehe. Third time, Amos Mwago, statement dropped. Honorable members, I'll have a reorganization in a small way of the order of business, so that I'm sure, members, you have seen your supplementary order paper, so that we can go to order number 8 for the majority leader to move a procedural motion. Thereafter, do first reading at order number 9 and 10. Then we come back to the statements. So read out order number 8.
Order number 8, motion, alteration of the calendar of the House.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me, before I move, to take this opportunity to welcome members back for this session after the 3 weeks working recess. And also thank all members, especially those who sit in departmental committees, who took a lot of their time during the recess to consider the budget estimates for the next financial year, and also the supplementary 3 budget estimates. And I thank them for the time that they committed to work of the House
because it is that business that has made it possible for us to be able to resume and have business to process. Honorable Speaker, moving on, I beg to move that notwithstanding the resolution of the House of 13th February 2025 and pursuant to the provisions of Standing Orders 28 sub-article 4 on calendar of the Assembly and Standing Order 30 sub-article 3 on hours of meeting, this House resolves to alter its calendar as follows. 1. Not to hold a morning sitting on Wednesday, 28th May 2025. 2. To commence the short recess of the second part on Friday, 27th June 2025. And 3. To resume regular sittings on Tuesday, 22nd July 2025 to continue with the second part of the fourth session. Honorable Speaker, as you mentioned, this is just a procedural motion. 1 is to allow members, as you communicated, Honorable Speaker, time to attend the National Prayer Breakfast that will be tomorrow morning. Honorable Speaker, maybe for the benefit of those who were not here earlier, the National Prayer Breakfast is tomorrow morning at 6:45 at our usual venue at Safari Park. And members, as the Speaker had indicated, you're all invited. And because of that, we will not have the usual Wednesday morning sitting, and we will resume our sittings tomorrow afternoon. So that was the first change. 2, Honorable Speaker, is to bring, remember, Honorable Speaker, again occasioned by the calendar of the National Prayer Breakfast, we cut short our recess by a week. We should have resumed next week, but we cut short the recess by a week. And therefore, we are just realigning the calendar so that we have a 5-week session, take another short recess, then resume for another 5 weeks before we take the long recess at the end of August, or sometime mid-August. And therefore, we will proceed once we are done with the priority business that has been aligned, especially the budget-related business. At the end of this month, you remember all these things must be passed by 30th of June, which is a Monday. Therefore, the last sitting day can only be Thursday, 26th June. And we therefore proceed on our short recess on 27th of June and resume on the Tuesday, 22nd of July to continue with the second part of the fourth session. And with that, Honorable Speaker, I want to request the Minority Whip, the Honorable Millie Odhiambo, to second the procedural motion on alteration of the calendar. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a fairly straightforward matter, and I second.
Member, you're going to take your seat. Honorable members, I propose the question at order number 8, which is that notwithstanding the resolution of the House, Order Kikaria, when you come to sit closer to the Speaker, you should even be better armed with order. Honorable members, I now propose the question at order number 8, which is that notwithstanding the resolution of the House of 13th February 2025 and pursuant the provision of Standing Order 28.4, calendar of the Assembly, and 33 hours of meeting, this House resolves to alter its calendar. 1, so as not to hold a morning sitting on Wednesday, 28th May 2025, that is tomorrow. 2, to commence the short recess of the second part on Friday, 27th June 2025. And 3, to resume regular sittings on Tuesday, 22nd July 2025, to continue with the second part of the fourth session. Do we put the question? I now put the question at order number 8, which is that notwithstanding the resolution of the House of 13th February 2025 and pursuant the provision of Standing Orders 28.4, calendar of the Assembly, and 33 hours of meeting, this House resolves to alter its calendar. 1, so as not to hold a morning sitting on Wednesday, 28th May 2025. 2, to commence the short recess of the second part on Friday, 27th June 2025. And 3, to resume regular sittings on Tuesday, 22nd July 2025, to continue with the second part of the fourth session. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 19 of 2025, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the laws relating to various taxes and duties and for matters incidental thereto. Order number 10, the County Assembly Services Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 34 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the County Assembly Services Act and for connected purposes.
Thank you. We'll go back to order number 7, statements. Responses to statements. Member for Saboti Kalebamisi is in the house. Tongoyo, this is your response. The member is not in the house, so we'll skip that. Member for Kilgoris, Julius Olesunguli. Tongoyo again. Honorable Sunguli called the speaker, indicating he was away in Geneva, and requests this statement to be responded to by Thursday this week. So, clerk, you schedule it for Thursday, 2:30. Honorable James Onyango Koyo, Chair, Agriculture and Livestock. Honorable Dr. Mutunga, does anybody have a brief from Agriculture? Is Koyo in the house? Double tragedy. Koyo is not here. The chair is not here. The statement response is stayed. Honorable Karoli Omondi. Chair Agriculture. The Chair Agriculture, Karoli, is not in the house. I said Chair Agriculture to you, Karoli, is not in the house. So we will stay the response to later in the week. The clerk will juggle with the number. We have a lot of statements that we put for the first week after recess. Yes, Karoli?
Honorable Chair, it is quite unfortunate that we don't have the chair of Agricultural Committee. But so much is happening in the sugar sector that is causing a lot of disquiet to farmers and to a lot of stakeholders. And I think the chair has to take this matter very seriously. Actually, that is part of the reason why I've come to caucus with Honorable Wangwe and the other members from Western Kenya. We need these answers. I think we must address the issue of the illegal leasing of the sugar mills without consultation, without public participation, and creating cartels where we were supposed to be dealing with other issues. So, Honorable Chair, please use your powers to make sure they come to the floor of the House and
Majority Leader, you direct the Chair Agriculture to respond to this statement on Tuesday afternoon. Honorable Deco Barrow, Garissa Town, you're in the House. Chair Education? Anybody with a brief from Honorable Meli, Chair Education? Majority Leader, where are your chairman today? Honorable Deco will stay the statement to next week. Honorable Julius Taitumu is in the House. Yes. Chair Education, you suffer the same fate, is not here. So we'll stay your response to next week. Joseph Lekuton, Mbala Isamis. Very good, you are present. Chair Energy. Honorable Gikaria.
Honorable Speaker, we did respond to this, but the member said he's not satisfied. We have called the Cabinet Secretary to come before us on Tuesday So we'll be inviting the Member of Parliament to be able to come.
Tuesday next week?
Tuesday next week.
That is the 3rd of June.
Yes, the 3rd of June.
Honorable Ekuton, you go and
Chair.
prosecute your statement before the committee on Tuesday.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll do that.
Honorable Mother Wangari, MP Gilgil, response from Finance, National Planning. Honorable Wangari, I recall I gave authority to the Finance Committee to sit the whole of today to take public views on the proposed finance bill, so that legitimately away will stay your request to next week. If it can be put for Wednesday afternoon next week. Joshua Kimilu, member for Kaiti. Is he in the house? Is not in the house. Social protection. Alice Nganga. She's not here. Response stayed to next week. Muchangi Karemba, member for Runyenjes. Chair Transport. GK. The member is not here. We'll stay the statement to next week. Member for Mukurweini, John Kagusha. John Kagusha. Members, 2 committees are been allowed to sit. Probably some of these members are in those committees, Budget and Finance. Chair Transport, were you ready with the statement response? Kagusha is not here. We stayed to next week. Honorable members, that brings us to the end of statements, both requests and responses. We go back to the order paper, and now we go to order number 11. Clerk.
Order number 11, motion, ratification of the treaty establishing the Intergovernmental Authority on Development. Resumption of debate.
Hold on. Who was on the floor? It concluded. Okay, honorable members, my record shows that Honorable Rasso had concluded his contribution to this motion. Yes, Honorable Owen Bayer.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, on the motion on order number 11, we canvassed this motion, and I think members agreed, and the interest was overwhelming. And I think, Honorable Speaker, the most important things were said that day. If you allow, then we could put would ask the mover to reply on this motion, so that
you don't need to make a speech. You simply say, I beg to move that the mover be called upon to reply.
Exactly like that, Honorable Speaker, you have said it. So I beg to request that the mover be called to reply, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Is that the mood of the House?
Yes.
Mover? Is that Koech or Bashir? Bashir, go ahead and reply.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply.
Order, you're going to take a seat. Honorable members, I'll now put the question at order number 11, which is that this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations on its consideration of the treaty establishing the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 1st April 2025, and pursuant to the provision of Section 8.4 of the Treaty Making and Ratification Act, Cap 4D, approves the ratification of the treaty establishing the Intergovernmental Authority on Development. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 12, motion. Third report on consideration of the audited accounts of specified state corporations.
Is this Honorable Wangwe? Honorable Wangwe, proceed to move your motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to move the motion that this House adopts the third report of the Public Investments Committee on Social Services, Administration and Agriculture on its consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the following state corporations, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 3rd July 2024. 1. Kenyatta National Hospital for financial year 2018-2019 and 2019-2020. 2. Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, financial year 2017-2018 and 2018-2019. 3. Kenya Veterinary Board, financial year 2018-2019, 2019-2020 to 2022 and 2020-2021. 4. National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse, financial years 2017-18, 2018-19, 2019-20, and 2020-21, and Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, financial years 2000 to 2000, 2001, 2001, 2002, and 2 and 3, 2003 and 4, and 4 and 5, and 5 and 6, and 6 and 7, and 7 and 8, and 8 and 9, and 9 and 10, 2010, 2011, 2011, 2012, and 2012, 2013. Honorable Speaker, as you can see, Honorable Speaker, looking at the various state agencies as listed on the order paper, they range from various years, ranging from the years 2018, 2019, and some also, Honorable Speaker, dating way down to the years 2000 to 2013. Honorable Speaker, without really going into the history of the functions of the Public Investments Committee, in general, Honorable Speaker, we did make various observations, which were general and some were being specific, Honorable Speaker. To look at the issues that were general, Honorable Speaker, across the 5 state agencies as listed on the order paper, Honorable Speaker, the committee observed and noted with concern the Kenyatta National Hospital, Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, and Kenya Broadcasting Corporation did not possess title deeds, title documents for land and buildings in their occupation. Honorable Speaker, specifically Kenyatta National Hospital did not possess title deed for the various parcels of land. Some were illegally and unprocedurally carved out and registered in the name of private developers who are compensated, Honorable Speaker, by the government after compulsory acquisition. Further, Honorable Speaker, KEMSA did not possess title deed for 7 parcels of land spread across the country and valued at 158 million shillings, Honorable Speaker, for which the authority did not have, Honorable Speaker. In addition, KBC does not have title deeds, Honorable Speaker, for other documents or other documents of legal ownership for 32 parcels of land. Honorable Speaker, the title deed LR number 209/5918, Broadcasting House, Nairobi, measuring 2.8 acres, in which the KBC headquarters are situated, was in the name of Chief Secretary, Colony and Protectorate of Kenya, a body, Honorable Speaker, corporate duly established by the Chief Secretary Incorporation Ordinance in 1958. Honorable Speaker, we sit here, but the parcel of land on which the broadcasting house is located, sitting on, does not belong to KBC, Honorable Speaker. We don't understand why, to date, the documents have not been changed to read Kenya Broadcasting Corporation or the latest name before Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. It should be noted, Honorable Speaker, that under the international public sector accounting standards, an entity can only recognize assets in books of accounts if it has ownership documents to those assets. And Honorable Speaker, looking at all the assets, even if we are estimating the figures at 158 million worth of land, Honorable Speaker, this is at the original cost. This is not at the cost as it is now, because valuation could not have been taken place since there are no title deeds. Honorable Speaker, the committee recommended with the specifications that, one, within 3 months upon adoption of this report, let the accounting officers liaise with the relevant government agencies, that is the Ministry of Lands and National Land Commission, to ensure that they secure ownership documents of all corporation land and report back to the National Assembly. We also recommend, Honorable Speaker, on that clause of land, that after adoption, within 2 months, Honorable Speaker, of this report, let the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Housing and Urban Development and the Chairperson of the National Land Commission put caveats on all the parcels of state corporations' land that are in private hands and report back to the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, particularly on this clause, we are addressing the issue of land in private hands at Kenyatta National Hospital and also land in private hands owned by KBC, Honorable Speaker. Within 6 months also, Honorable Speaker, upon adoption of this report, let the accounting officers through the NLC prioritize and expedite resolving ownership issues surrounding parcels of land belonging to the state corporations and report to the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, also we realize, which we had cross-cutting issues, delay in availing documents to the authority, to the Auditor General. Most of the issues, Honorable Speaker, we found out that various state corporations, out of the 5, Honorable Speaker, what cut across was delay in availing documents, Honorable Speaker, to the Office of the Auditor General. I want to bring to the attention of the House, Honorable Speaker, a specific entity like KBC, whose accounting documents, Honorable Speaker, for 5 years is missing. In between an audit year of account, they don't have records for a full 5-year period. Honorable Speaker, it defeats logic to say a corporation does not have documents to be audited by an Auditor General. This is a big issue, and Honorable Speaker, it's important that this House adopts this report so that we can enforce the issues to do with filing of documents to the Office of the Auditor General. Honorable Speaker, in that aspect, we recommended, therefore, that the accounting officers should comply with the provisions of Section 68, Part 2 of the PFM Act, especially 2012, which requires that they must submit the documents for audit within the particular years, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, cross-cutting issues also that we saw among the 5 state agencies was poor governance and weak internal controls. There were delays in appointments of the board of directors. Honorable Speaker, there is a tendency by the executive to delay appointment of board of directors of the various state corporations, and particularly what we noted was the issue of KEMSA did not have substantive board chair since 9th of October 2015, following the expiry of the second term of the chair, and did not have a substantive chief executive officer from 1st January 2017 to 30th June 2018. Honorable Speaker, it defeats logic that a state corporation can exist without a chair, and yet we needed to spend, we needed to be accountable. And moreover, like the issue of KEMSA, where there was no chair, no CEO for a period within which we are stating, Honorable Speaker. Further, Kenya Veterinary Board's tenure for the Board of Directors dated 20th March 2021, and a new board had not been appointed as at 30th June 2021. Honorable Speaker, that's a big difference, variance that required we need to have a board in place. Honorable Speaker, what did we do? Our recommendation was within 3 months upon adoption of this report, let the Inspector General Inspector of State Corporations, with the help of National Assembly, should initiate the process of amending the State Corporations Act to make it clear that no entity should be allowed to make any financial commitment without properly constituted board. Honorable Speaker, there were also matters pending in court that were cutting across. The committee observed that a number of litigations concerning ownership of land, the state corporation, and other legal matters have been pending before the courts of law for long period of time, despite resolution of the House through previous PIC's reports. Honorable Speaker, you find so many, out of all these 5 state agencies, they have matters in court which are dating back some to 2008 to date, and they've not been resolved. Honorable Speaker, as a committee, we felt in our recommendation that the Inspector General, Inspector of State Corporation, to carry out a review of all entities with pending court cases, prepare a comprehensive status report, and submit to the National Assembly with a copy to the Attorney General, who will initiate the process of fast-tracking the conclusion of the cases within reasonable time, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there is also the cross-cutting issues on delay accountability of interest. The committee noted that some state corporations were in breach of Section 71 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and in their attendant regulations that require surrender of interest within 7 days upon conclusion of the assignment for which the said interest was issued. Honorable Speaker, what we saw cutting across is that most of these agencies take as long as beyond 7 days. Some take 2 years, some had even 4 years without surrender of interest. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, where the state agents has not surrendered interest, the committee recommended that the accounting officer, to ensure interest advanced to officers is surrendered within the stipulated period, and the two, Honorable Speaker, that within 6 months of the adoption of this report, the accounting officers who will have failed to take necessary steps to ensure that all outstanding interest within their jurisdiction are recovered from the due date should be surcharged the full amount due. Because, Honorable Speaker, the onus of collection of interest is by the accounting officer. And if the accounting officer fails to recover the interest, Honorable Speaker, let him be surcharged. Honorable Speaker, let me now look at the specific issues that are affected specific institutions. Kenyatta National Hospital, Honorable Speaker, had issues with unconfirmed borrowing balance. Honorable Speaker, the issue was addressed in the previous PIC. However, it contained in the 24th PIC report. But, Honorable Speaker, the National Treasury and the KNH were yet to reconcile. Despite the fact that it had been captured in the 24th report, they were yet to reconcile and come up with a true figure of the status of the loan. It has taken, Honorable Speaker, a loan which was taken in 2006 to have the subsidiary grant agreement to be converted from an on-lend loan to an on-grant loan, Honorable Speaker, that was fully signed on 4th of August 2022. However, Honorable Speaker, the board's approval for passing the necessary book entries to correct the anomaly in the financial statements was granted in September 2022. Honorable Speaker, there was also the issue of land under property, plan and equipment, Honorable Speaker. There is a parcel of land, Honorable Speaker, at Kenyatta National Hospital that was excised off the main land of KNH. The committee observed that the plots were irregularly, Honorable Speaker, excised and allocated to third parties in previous years. The matter was discussed in the 19th PIC report, but, Honorable Speaker, National Land Commission was yet to effect the recommendations of PIC. Honorable Speaker, the second issue on the issue of land under KNH was that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Honorable Speaker, had taken up the investigation of the land for said land but it had not finalized on the matter, Honorable Speaker, as at the date when we are reporting this PIC report. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, we felt further to the 24th report recommendation that within 3 months upon adoption of this report, the accounting officer of the National Land Commission, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the Inspector of State Corporations, KNH itself, Honorable Speaker, and the Committee on Implementation to fast-track, Honorable Speaker, the process of implementing the committee recommendations in the 24th report. In the 24th report and our report thereon. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, combining the resolutions of this report together with the report of the 24th PIC report to be fast-tracked since they are the same. Honorable Speaker, there is also the matter of inconsistency in depreciation of assets. Honorable Speaker, the hospital erred in applying the reducing balance rate of 30% instead of the prescribed straight-line method of depreciation, which misrepresented, Honorable Speaker, the carrying value of computers and related accessories. Honorable Speaker, in the next report which we'll be looking at, this effect is there, such that, Honorable Speaker, the hospital adopted the straight-line, adopted, Honorable Speaker, the reducing balance method of depreciation, which brought most of the assets to zero. And, Honorable Speaker, without anticipating debate, this observation is reflected in the next report, where they depreciated assets, Honorable Speaker, to 1.4 million shillings, and an asset of 146 million was sold at 1.4 million shillings. It is in the report that's going to come. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, what do we say? Our recommendation, Honorable Speaker, is the committee reprimands the then accounting officer and then officers in the accounting and internal audit departments involved in preparation and review of the financial statements for failing to adhere to the requirements of IPSAS, that is International Public Sector Accounting Standards, as prescribed in the PFM Act Cap 412A. Honorable Speaker, the hospital as well also had an confirmed NHIF fund receivable balance, which is now, Honorable Speaker, the reconciliations between NHIF, what the NHIF was demanding, and themselves, Honorable Speaker. This reconciliation is yet to be finalized. It's yet to be finalized, Honorable Speaker, despite the fact that, Honorable Speaker, NHIF is now collapsed into SHA. Honorable Speaker, the next agency we looked at Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Because of the many issues, Honorable Speaker, I had on KNH, I had to go now to the next issue, next agency. Honorable Speaker, the other agency we looked at as Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, that's KEMSA. In specific issues, we have issues with the staff costs. The committee observed that a similar audit query had been raised in 2016-2017, and our current observation, Honorable Speaker, are as follows. One, the board had approved establishment of 341 staff, and in financial year 2016-17, the KEMSA had 329 in-post staff, after receiving 40 more in financial year 2017-2018. The post figure stood at 324, against an expected staff figure of 369 if no staff had exited. However, KEMSA did not provide any documentary proof that the 45 staff had exited KEMSA in 2017-18, either through retirement, natural attrition, dismissal, or resignation. This could lead to existence of ghost workers. Honorable Speaker, we went through and came up with the following recommendations: that within 3 months upon adoption of this report, the Auditor General should carry out a comprehensive special audit on the staff and payroll of KEMSA for a period of 5 years for 2017-18 to 2021-22, both years inclusive, to establish the status of staffing and report to the National Assembly on the findings. Should the report establish any irregularities, then accounting officers should be reprimanded and held accountable for any financial losses during their tenure. Honorable Speaker, there was also the issues that we picked up on expired drugs. That, Honorable Speaker, a similar issue, which is recurring year in, year out, was cited by the PIC in 2016-17 and discussed in the 22nd report. However, our committee, Honorable Speaker, notes as follows, that one, the expiry of drugs was not due to breach of contractual terms, but due to change in drug regime, indicating that poor planning by KEMSA. The agency should ordinarily know which drugs are obsolete and which drugs are going to be introduced into the market. Honorable Speaker, KEMSA has the ability to know when is the drug going to expire, but they decide, Honorable Speaker, to have one way of disbursement of drugs, such that if that way is not observed, then they cannot do any other way. So, Honorable Speaker, by virtue of being rigid in decision, it caused the agency, Honorable Speaker, to have a huge stock of drugs which are expired. Honorable Speaker, KEMSA cannot even go on its own way and say this medicine or drugs which are about to expire might be donated, might be given to any needy institution. Instead, it has to go one way. I think the opinion of the committee was, Honorable Speaker, that KEMSA needs to be versatile and observe that likely challenge. KEMSA indicated that they had devised strategies to determine the demand of drugs from across the counties, which included constant engagement and collecting data to avoid the expiry of drugs, as well as other strategies, such as prioritizing on shelf life of drugs. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, what did we recommend instead? The committee then feels that the accounting officer should be reprimanded for laxity in minimizing wastage of public funds, though procurement and stocking of expired drugs. Honorable Speaker, it's a decision of the accounting officer to know for how long is he procuring the drugs, and the drugs are being procured whose shelf life is of a particular duration. That, Honorable Speaker, within 3 months upon adoption of our report, the Auditor General should carry out a compliance audit on procurement of drugs, stocking, accountability, and the destruction of expired drugs by KEMSA for a period of 5 years from 2017-2018 to 2021-2022. Honorable Speaker, that within 3 months of adoption of this report, the management of KEMSA should submit to the National Assembly a copy of the documented strategies approved by the board and the Principal Secretary of State Department of Medical Services. Honorable Speaker, what also has come out of the inquiry we did on the board expenses, Honorable Speaker, was the issue of the board expenses. Honorable Speaker, the response by KEMSA was too general rather than addressing the specific audit query raised on sitting and lunch allowance, Honorable Speaker, of 1.6 million shillings paid to 4 board members, which were not supported by invitation letters and minutes of the meetings held. Honorable Speaker, 2, KEMSA has continued to experience serious governance issues arising from deliberate lack of substantive office holders as indicated. KEMSA has not had a substantive board chair since 9th of October 2015, following the expiry of the second term of the then chair. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, what do we recommend now that they do not have the chair, but they went ahead and spent money on the board expenses? Honorable Speaker, our recommendation is that the committee then reprimands the CS for failing to bring to the attention of the appointing authority the vacancy of the board chair and the CEO. There was both lack of the board chair and there was also no CEO within those times of period. Honorable Speaker, that within 3 months upon adoption of this report, the PS Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the Inspector of State Corporations, should ensure that the then accounting officer who authorized the payment of the sitting and lunch allowance at 1,660,999 to the 4 board members, which were not supported by invitation letters and minutes of sitting held, is surcharged for the amount so paid. Honorable Speaker, there was also the issue of land that we observed in KEMSA, that the committee observed as follows. The agents are taking time to register the title deed, despite having the necessary documentation in place. The situation has not changed over 7 years now. Down the line, the committee was concerned that KEMSA had engaged Priority Management Limited as conveyancing expert.
National government and the county. Is that the National Treasury, Mr. Speaker, seems to be holding brief only for the national government. And it does not, in many ways, consider county government as part and parcel of it. Mr. Speaker, it is time that we consider seriously how we can pass legislation within the Senate in our capacity as the protectors of the counties, so that we can create a separate treasury or a division within the treasury that specifically serves the county governments. Mr. Speaker, the problem with this schedule is that when it comes to exchequer releases, when it comes to disbursements to our counties, the National Treasury tends to lump the responsibility of disbursement to the counties with all the other responsibilities within the nation. And then the responsibility to disburse timely counties, it is relegated to the back, so that, Mr. Speaker, they will disburse money favoring the national government, and they will disburse money disfavoring the county governments. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a challenge I would want to give to the committee chair of finance at the Senate. Mr. Speaker, time has come for us to sincerely look at how we can use Article 202, that revenues are raised nationally and shared equitably between the national and county governments. Develop some law that will create a department within the Treasury that is dedicated to county governments. So if monies are being raised by the Kenya revenue authorities, they should be equitably divided, so that there are two sets of consolidated accounts. One set for the national government and one set for the county government. So that when we say there are delays in exchequer releases, then it will be specific that the treasury from the county government is not releasing the funds in good time. Mr. Speaker, if this is not done, then like other colleagues have said here in the past, or even in this debate, that it will become a ritual, that we shall pass a schedule, and then this schedule is not respected because the national government operates as if the treasury only belongs to the to servicing the national government and not servicing the county government. So, Mr. Speaker, I think this is one point that we need to look at and see whether going forward we could even have a clear constitutional amendment that creates a treasury dedicated only to county governments, so that we have the treasury that will serve county governments and the treasury that will serve national governments. If this is done, and done in a very technical and nice way, then, Mr. Speaker, we will not have even to debate schedules, because the funds will be disbursed at the correct time within the time that we pass. Once the Senate has approved, then it is processed from the treasury that is dedicated to serving the county governments. So, Mr. Speaker, I support and I pray that the Constitution will be followed in this manner. I support. Thank you.
Senator Thangwa Karungo. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, to give me an opportunity to support this schedule for the counties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've noted, and Senator Wambua has also mentioned, on the issue of disbursement of unconditional additional allocation from court fines. And from the schedule, Mr. Speaker, 116 million is going to only 10 counties. And these are the court fines, to my understanding, is the fines that people from these counties have been fined by courts probably for breaking the county laws within that particular counties. Kiambu is receiving about 10 million from these county fines. Nairobi, which is getting the bigger chunk of the money, is receiving 70 million, 842 shillings, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as much as we would take this as an allocation, I think the Senate should also look into this issue and find out why some of these counties are breaking the law, or why some of these counties are getting these chunks of amounts, while others, like Kakamega, Mr. Speaker, which is equally the same with the county, with Kiambu County, 12 wards, 12 constituencies, 60 wards, and the budget is almost similar. Yet a county like Kakamega, they are receiving 0. That means probably in that county, they never broke the law. So I think we should take it as a case study, Mr. Speaker, to get to understand why it is the way it is, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as we pass this allocation, Mr. Speaker, we also need to request COB and the executive to be releasing this amount of monies in time. In the morning, Mr. Speaker, we were sitting at the Committee of Devolution, of the Senate Devolution, at the Senate, and we had members of the County Assembly from Machakos County and their Speaker, Mr. Speaker. And we were told the members of the County Assembly of Machakos and their staff have not been paid for the last 3 months, Mr. Speaker. And I believe it's not only Machakos County. Even some other counties are not receiving their money on time. So we should ask the executive, Mr. Speaker, to make sure they disburse these amounts on time so that they can give money where it's due, Mr. Speaker. And, Mr. Speaker, the reason why maybe probably the trust and confidence of this government might not be in tandem with what everyone is thinking, Mr. Speaker, is because counties do not have money, Mr. Speaker. Counties have not been, the monies have not been disbursed. Yet we see the government, through some programs that have not been budgeted for, in the name of Economic Forum, Mr. Speaker, going to every county, giving handouts to people, Mr. Speaker. Somebody might ask, why are these programs happening that are not budgeted for, they are not within any law, no motion was passed on it, yet the monies that the Senate has allocated and approved is not being disbursed to the counties, Mr. Speaker. I think this is an issue that we need to look into. And if we are to summon whoever, Mr. Speaker, is not disbursing these monies to the counties so that they can explain, it should not be, normal for the Senate just to pass this kind of laws, the allocations, the disbursement schedules, but then the executive is not doing its part. And we just keep quiet and we look at it that way, Mr. Speaker. So I urge the executive to make sure that they give the monies. And if, Mr. Speaker, they don't have money, then why is it that when they say they don't have money or they have not collected enough, why is it that the only counties are suffering? The office of the president has all this budget. The office of the deputy president has all the money, to an extent that we are now dishing it out to anyone who asks for it, Mr. Speaker. So I think, as I support this, this is an issue that we need to look into, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Senator Olekina Ledama. If Senator Olekina is not ready for a contribution, Senator Okongo Omogeni.
What are you saying?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to also make my comments. Mr. Speaker, first I want to appreciate the good work being done by our Chair, Finance, Senator for Mandera, Ali Roba, and I wish to make a few comments, Mr. Speaker. First, for some of us who come from counties that were privileged to get the county aggregated industrial parks, we are happy. Money to our counties that will jumpstart the construction of these county aggregated industrial parks. But, Mr. Speaker, this dream will never be realized unless there is responsibility from our counties. Because I've had the privilege of going around as a member of a committee. And you will find, Mr. Speaker, that there are counties that have made very good progress in construction of these industrial parks, while some are lagging behind. And, you know, Mr. Speaker, there is no explanation other than attributing it to the effective management of our counties. Especially for my county, I'm happy to tell my people of Nyamira that we are now sending 52 million shillings to Nyamira. And I hope that the construction that is ongoing at Sironga will now pick at a pace than what we have seen before. Because we want these parks to be finalized and people start utilizing them so that we can see transformation. Otherwise, if we have them on paper, we are talking about county aggregated industrial parks, but we are seeing nothing, that adds no value to our people, Mr. Speaker. So I hope that our counties are going to make good use of the money that is being sent to our counties so that we can see progress, good progress, in the construction of these industrial parks. Curse be you, if you are a governor who receives money that is meant to transform our lives and you divert it to your pocket. And I'm asking also, Mr. Speaker, watchdog bodies like ESCC and DCI to be on the watch out. Because, Mr. Speaker, what happens is the moment this money hits some of our counties, those who have a very good appetite for public money will start announcing that money has come and it gets diverted. Second, Mr. Speaker, community health promoters. I fully associate myself with the sentiments that have been made by colleague senators who have spoken before me. Let us not dehumanize people who are trying to assist the citizens in our society. There are people who have told me